Okay, so I spent a few minutes messing around with the rib. I renamed it. I called it rib 2. And what I basically did was kind of move the vertical element so it was off on an angle. So I created a new reference point on that line and made a new reference line, which is the line that's green. And if I was to, let me go, I've added material also. So I've added wood and aluminum to these surfaces that I've created, but I'll go to wireframe here, show you what I've done. So I took this bottom reference point and created another extrusion angle, angle to the reference line off of that point, and then I extruded it along that reference line, and doesn't have a taper. There's no other change in that dimension on the way up. And then on this reference point, I created a circle. So if I go to front elevation here, I use this reference point, and if I turn it into the 3D view here, I set this reference plane. Let me just tab. So we had that reference plane and built this circle. So it was just a circle shape. Once I had the circle created, I made create form as we've done before. And then if we were to look at this maybe from a right elevation, there's the idea of this will form in a, let's see if I can just grab that. And then I could just manipulate this depth of this on either side so that it filled up the, covered the wood as far as the curved part. And I gave that an aluminum finish to it. So then I loaded that back in again. And obviously, since I've renamed it rib, Dynamo would not know how to replace those elements. So I would go out to Dynamo and where we have our family types, and I'll pull these back. Maybe I'll pull this all the way back to our setup so we could actually swap out ribs if we want. I would then, once it's loaded in, that would show up as an option. So I'll just show you. I'll go back to ribs. Let me just close this off. Let me go back to the 3D view. So Dynamo will run. And just jump back to Dynamo now. It's available. It probably went ahead and run. So if I go back to, let's try that one more time. I want to get Dynamo to update. So we've got it on rib. Run completed. Now let's see if that's updated. And it has. Now we're back to the old rib. And then once again, I'll go back through that sequence again. I created the rib 2. Just a version. It can be anything you want. I showed you how, I just gave you a brief overview of what I've done, but you could make yours in any way. I don't want it to actually be identical. It could have other kinds of features or decorations on it. I loaded that into the project, obviously overwrote the existing one, and that made it immediately available in Dynamo. So I could go to Dynamo now, and since it's called rib 2, it'll sit right next to it. It's saying run is completed. So let's go ahead and bounce back to Revit, and there is our new element in place. And since I've added materials to it now, it starts to look a little better. And we'll go through in some next videos with some ways to embellish this and then dimension our ribs and kind of finish the project off.